Good evening once again to all our viewers and listeners of DMs with PM. It's Tuesday, so that means we're back for another live and interactive session with you. And before we move right on into today's episode, just like to take the opportunity to welcome our listeners on Power FM, Star FM, We FM, GBN, Fusion FM, Vibes FM, and GIS. And not forgetting our live viewers on Facebook and YouTube. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us once again. And of course, as always, all we ask is that you share the live and give other folks the opportunity to be part of the program. 1 hour is certainly not enough, so we're not going to waste any time. We're diving right into today's episode. And as always with us, our Prime Minister. Welcome. How are you today?
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I am doing very well.
Wonderful. How was your last trip to the diaspora?
Hectic. We did a meeting with the Prime Minister of Canada, the Honorable Mark Carney. We had also several business engagements. We also had, as you're aware, a town hall in Montreal that was standing room only. We followed that up with a breakfast meeting the following day with members of the diaspora, particularly those who lead a lot of the cultural activities in Montreal. We had a business lunch, and then we had a gala in the evening. The next day, we flew back to Ontario for another fireside chat and gala fundraising event as well. So all packed in, and then we left the Sunday morning and flew back in. So it was a packed couple of days. But I certainly think from the diaspora perspective, they get an opportunity to learn about Project Polaris, to learn about how they can contribute to the development of Grenada. We get an opportunity to see how Grenadians have carried the culture, the identity of Grenada in places like Montreal in particular, where you had 3 generations of Grenadians, all engaging in a lot of the cultural activities, the singing, the dancing, the drumming. So I think it demonstrates that, as I've said, Grenadians are the best example of migrants when they go to another country. So certainly in the case of Canada, I think that is clearly the case. So a very successful engagement following on the heels of the engagement in New York.
As the young people would say, I've been outside. Now, the diaspora is definitely, I've never seen them this fired up, about what's happening home and being so interested in, what's going on. So that looks good for us for the future, right?
No, absolutely. And with the diaspora homecoming essentially 10, 12 days away, I think that is good as well. It means the passion is there, the interest is there. And I've said to them in particular, we are moving beyond remittances and barrels. What we really want is the brain power, the connection, the investment of the diaspora. That is what will help move the country in the right direction to one of more sustainability, more development, and not just say a dependency relationship. So I'm very keen, very happy with the support, the engagement that we're seeing, and we expect it to continue.
Fantastic. So before we leave, we'll give you a little update again about the diaspora homecoming. But all for now, to get back to the business at home, we want to focus a little on your vision for infrastructure and national development. What would you say is your overarching vision for Grenada's infrastructure over the next 5 to 10 years?
The overarching vision is to make sure that the infrastructure is fit for purpose and that it can in fact sustain the level of economic and physical activity that is taking place. So we can start with water, for instance. We recognize that we're having very severe dry seasons, and we're always not so certain about the level of water we get in the rainy season. So making sure that we can move water from those areas of the country that are plentiful, let's say Concord, for example, in St. John, to those areas which are scarce. The southeastern part of the island is critical. Making sure that we have additional storage to meet the demands that are increasing, because we have more hotels being built, more homes being built, ensuring that at the same time we have water for farmers. That is also critical. Ensuring that the citizens themselves can engage in rainwater harvesting and water conservation is also critical. So the idea is to make sure that we spend the money shoring up the water infrastructure in Grenada. That is why we've spent over $100 million in pipelaying, in building of water tanks, in improving the dams, etc. And that is ongoing as we speak. It's obviously caused a lot of inconvenience because all of it is happening almost at the same time. But sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But the goal here is to make sure that we become a water resilient and water sustainable country, and all of us have to do a part. That's just on the water side. And I start with water because we have to pay attention to what are the most fundamental and important issues. If you have no water, the country literally grinds to a halt. The road networks, Grenada's road networks need a significant overhaul to make it future-proof for the next 20, 25 years. We have bigger trucks, 20, 40-foot containers. We have more private vehicles on the road than ever. We have taxis. We have buses, we have private cars, and we have to be able to manage and sustain all of this. So we have to be able to build our roads in a manner and maintain them in a manner that allows us to have smooth roads all the time. Not a little patch or 2 miles of smooth road and the rest of it is degraded. So it means ensuring that, one, we build roads that are as wide as possible, given our constraints. Two, from a public safety point of view, building sidewalks, particularly in residential areas. Three, having road markings that allows for improved visibility, particularly at night, so that persons can know where the edge of the road begins and ends and know what the center line is. Making sure also that we have modern traffic management systems in place, from street lights to roundabouts to other markings that warn persons about exit entrances and so on. So all of this is part of what we're working on. Making sure our bridges are dual carriage. Most of our bridges, particularly on the west coast, some parts in St. Andrew can't accommodate 2 vehicles at the same time. We have to get to the point where all our bridges can accommodate 2 vehicles at the same time. So we are doing a lot of work to modernize the bridges. We are doing a lot of road widening, not just on the main roads, but on a lot of the secondary roads as well, because in fact there's sometimes more traffic on the secondary roads because that's where people live than even on the main road. So we have to, some of it is not possible because you have a precipice, and then you've got a mountain and you have a house, and unless you sometimes move the house, you simply can't widen the roads. But as much as possible, we want to get our roads to be dual carriageway, so 2 vehicles can pass relatively safely, get our bridges to be 2 dual carriage relatively safely, get the road markings up to international standards, so particularly at night, people can see safely where the roads begin and end. And then the maintenance of the roads, after we rebuild the roads, to ensure that we don't simply put asphalt on top of asphalt, as is still happening, but that we are able to mill the roads, relay the asphalt smoothly, so that you have a continuous smooth drive. It's a lot of work, but it is something we are committed to doing, and as you can see, we've already started in some of that.
Well, you killed 2 birds in 1 stone, because the next question was about road work, so we can now move on to how does the ministry prioritize which communities or projects gets attention first? Because you hear people complaining, oh, this area is getting more attention, we're not getting this attention. So how do you prioritize?
Well, it's a bit complex. I think, one, unfortunately, we have to deal with a lot of reactive situations, because a lot of the bridges are actually crumbling at a rate that if we don't address them, then you'd have, in many instances, no access. So you would recognize that we are paying particular emphasis to bridges. So for example, if you look at St. Patrick, a lot of the bridges have been compromised. St. Patrick, in the last 2 or 3 years, have experienced significant flooding and flash flooding and so on, and that has undermined a lot of the bridges, in addition to the fact that many of them are simply old and dated. So we are prioritizing bridges, because if you can't pass, essentially people are going to be locked in or blocked out. And in some instances, we can't do both bridges at the same time, because if we do so, it basically means you have no access to that area. So we are prioritizing bridges in particular. So you would see, for example, in St. Patrick, we're looking to address a lot of those. The Marquee Bridge is also suspect, and we can see part of it already beginning to fall away, so we are prioritizing this. So I would say bridges are one of the main things because of the emergency implications associated with them. Anywhere where there's a risk of the road slipping or falling off either into the sea or precipice, we are also prioritizing those. Any areas where there are coastal erosion and you run the risk of the sea coming in and doing damage, we are prioritizing those. So if you look at Mount Rodney, for instance, you would see that we've had to take emergency works to actually build the shoreline in Mount Rodney, because the sea was literally coming right into the road and underneath people's homes. That has become a priority. So the first thing is to ensure that we prevent a situation where communities are locked in and don't have access to roads. The second priority is in fact the main roads, because that's where everybody drives on the main roads and their main arteries, and also it's a reflection of the country and the society. But sometimes we are unable to do so because there are other issues we have to address. So for instance, the Grandlands main road, we would have happily resurfaced the main road 2 years ago, but we were aware that NOASA had to lay the pipes to do this project, and so we simply had no choice but to delay it, because obviously we don't want to spend $20–30 million to resurface the roads, and then 1 year later you are running major pipes throughout it. So sometimes there are things that are not necessarily within your control from a timing point of view that you may have to delay. So the main roads for sure, and then I would say the third issue obviously would be the secondary roads. We also try and prioritize roads that have a high density in terms of population, because clearly then the more people are impacted, is the more we will have to address that. There are instances where you have 2 or 3 or a few homes, and persons obviously ask for help. One of the things that happens in Grenada is a lot of the roads are not public roads. a lot of the roads are actually private roads. It is people who buy land, cut it up, sell it to people, sometimes promise to put the roads in, never put the roads in, and then as the area become built up, they essentially ask the government to come and assist and provide the roads. And of course, in many instances, we do help, but that's also part of the challenge that you may find. A lot of the roads are actually not public roads. People will say, of course, we're paying taxes as well, but we also have to be honest, because if it's not a public road, it means the government actually doesn't own the road. And in some instances, for private roads, you can actually lock the public out. So the government doesn't have any obligation to maintain or do roads that are private. So that's sort of, I would say, the last priority. We try to, as much as possible, give each parish, and I would say more parish and less constituency, an equal share of the resources. So if you look at what's happening, you would see that there's roadworks going out throughout the length and breadth of Greater Carriacou and Petite Martinique, and that includes Carriacou and Petite Martinique. In fact, there's significant roadwork has happened in Petite Martinique as well as Carriacou. You would see, for instance, we're doing Mabuya in St. John, we are doing works in St. Andrew, we are doing works in St. Patrick, we're doing in St. David, we are doing in St. George's. So all over, there's major roadworks taking place.
Okay. All right, so we have to take our first break, but when we come back, of course, we have more for you. Stay right here. It's DMs with PM.
The name is Renu Kajada, Managing Director of the RG Group of Companies. We are here on the Mabuya landslip area, which was originally a road that was closed for a very long time because of a landslip further back. What you're seeing here is a culvert which later on failed, and that happened way after the design was done. After the design, it took quite some time before they took on a contractor. So we had additional work because we had an additional failure and made the road impassable. We have approached to do this first while we did some of the retaining structures along this end of the road, the southern end of the road. And next week, we will go on to the main landslide where we're going to start the excavation for us to start the filling of it. While we're doing this road, we're going to take in consideration a realignment because the road is up and down and some curves. Especially this area where we are, you can see the road originally went down and came back up. So we are going to raise the level significantly up to about 4 meters higher. So you're going to have a transition that runs from this hill straight across to the height there. We're going to eliminate that dip that it always had, but the culvert is going to remain there to take the water away. All we're supposed to be doing is just the road, the landslide, and the culvert. However, we're going to add in a walkway. Through discussions with the minister, she mentioned that here is a place that's being used by many people for running, and she would really like to see a walkway. I have volunteered to include a walkway in it for her to ensure that she meets the expectations of her constituents. So at the end of this project, you'll see a walkway all along this route, and we're going to fix the sides and try to do some landscaping to make this road a lot different from what you normally see. And in every area, I think we have received all the support from the Grenadians, and it makes our job easier. So what you're going to see is a little more speed in execution of those projects, and we intend to put the Renu touch in it.
And welcome back once again to all our viewers and listeners. And for those of you just joining us, if you have not done so as yet, please do us a favor and share the live on Facebook or YouTube. It's just about time for your DMs. We have Edison with the first question. Can the government revisit plans for the Western Main Road, which was expected to be addressed under the UKCIF project? Additionally, could the Concord basketball court be refurbished?
Hi Edison, thank you for the question. Yes, the Concord basketball court not could be but will be refurbished. plans are afoot as part of the refurbishment of basketball courts throughout the length and breadth of Grenada to include Concord, and so we expect that work should commence this year on the Concord basketball court. In relation to the Western Main Road, in fact, the Mabuya landslip, which the video just showed, is part of the Western Main Road. And so what we are seeking to do is to ensure that we can address the critical areas of the Western Main Road first, particularly areas like the Mabuya landslip, then the bridges, and then the overall road. One of the reasons we have to address the bridges, the corners where two vehicles can't pass, is because we also have the geothermal project that in order for us to actually get the drills and so on up to the site, the roads need to be widened and to be made dual carriage. So it's a question of simply a phased implementation of the improvements to the Western Main Road to be able to meet the needs of what the country has to treat with.
Okay. And we have another question from Kiki. As a grade 6 student, I would like to know how Grenada would function if it were not a member of the OECS and CARICOM.
That sounds like a SBA question that has to be answered. It will be a lot more difficult to function. I'll just give you examples. Our currency, the East Caribbean dollar, is a currency that is shared with Grenada and the rest of the Eastern Caribbean states. So if Grenada was no longer part of the OECS, Grenada would have to have its own currency. It would therefore make the management, the printing of money and foreign reserves a lot more expensive, a lot more difficult for Grenada. And the same would apply for all of the other islands. If we were not part of the OECS, we would have to have our own code system. And again, that would make it a lot more expensive and a lot more challenging for Grenada. Right now, we are part of the OECS code system. The Code of Appeal serves all of the islands within the OECS. So that's just another example of the benefit that we have from being a member of the OECS. And similar arrangements apply for CARICOM. So because of our size, we only have about 100,000+ people. We have a small landmass. Many of the institutions that serve us in the OECS and CARICOM benefit all of us together. Another example in the Eastern Caribbean would be the Civil Aviation Authority, which regulates aircraft and civil aviation and airport standards throughout the OECS. If we had to do that ourselves, we would have to spend all the money. We would not have support from the other islands, and therefore the budget would be a lot more. So the OECS plays a major role and has played a major role in the development of not just Grenada, but the OECS. So it will be a lot more difficult for us to function if we were not part of the OECS and CARICOM.
Okay. And we have another question from K. Piton. Would it ever be possible for schools in Grenada to have a dental clinic or doctor available for some of the children who are not fortunate enough to have a dental checkup or just a regular checkup?
Thank you, Miss. I'm not sure if it's a Miss or Mr. Piton, but currently we have actually instituted dental chairs in all of the parishes. So there is in fact an opportunity now for all of the school children who attend school to be able to be checked at the dental clinics, because we now have the dental chairs, and we have hopefully we're able to build up more availability of dentists over time. Having it at school, I think, would be a lot more challenging. In addition to that, from time to time, we have particularly members of the diaspora, for example, Smiles, that comes into different parishes during the year and tend to attend to, for free, anyone who wants an additional dental checkup. But we certainly can rely on the dental chairs at the various medical stations throughout the length and breadth of Grenada for students to get access to that. Perhaps what the Ministry of Health can do is ensure that the schools are aware of this and perhaps suggest time periods when the students can come in, or maybe have the dentist visit the school to just give basic oral hygiene tips and encourage our students to care for their teeth better.
We used to have that back in the day. Did
yes,
we visit the schools?
I mean,
the mouthwash day, we hated it.
I'm relying on my memory, but I also believe that the Ministry of Health has restarted this program,
okay.
Subject to correction. So I think it's something we can clarify, but I believe the Minister of Health has indicated that that's one of the programs the Ministry of Health has restarted to make sure that there's oral and dental care at the schools.
Okay. And we have another question from Vanessa Houston. I am concerned about a large gate that has been erected at the beach entrance in Lansapine. Could this matter be investigated to ensure public access is being protected?
Yes, well, it's the first time I'm hearing of this. I'm not aware of it, so it is certainly something that could be investigated. I can't speak more about it because I'm not aware of it and I haven't seen it.
Okay. We have another question from Mayan Noel. Says, I just wanted to inform you that you are doing a phenomenal job. I have never seen all this action and progress in such a short time. Whenever I come back on vacation, I am in awe. Keep up the good job. May God guide and protect you always. As my mom would always say, you were sent by God to rescue Grenada.
Well, that's quite a compliment, Ms. Noah. Thank you very much, and thank you for the support. We obviously will continue to do our best to serve the needs of the citizens who have elected us into office. So we really do appreciate the support and the compliments that have been extended by you.
All right, and we have our final one from Antonia. Many young professionals in the diaspora are interested in contributing their skills and resources to Grenada, but need clearer guidance on how to get involved. Is there a formal process, and could an official young professionals network be established to connect diaspora talent with opportunities in Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique?
Hi, Antonia. Thank you for the question. I will encourage you to go onto the Grenada Homecoming Diaspora website and register, and in particular indicate the area of expertise that you are interested in or the skill set that you have, because that's one sure way of us getting your data so that we can then reach out to you. The second thing you can do, depending on which part of the world you're in, is to reach out to the Embassy of Grenada or the consulate office in Grenada and actually provide your information and express the area that you're interested in. And once that happens, it allows us to have that information so we can then look at how we can best use your skills. I would also emphasize that we have been using many of the professionals in the diaspora to help us serve on boards of our statutory bodies. That is ongoing, so there's an opportunity for you to contribute there as well. And it depends again on your skill set and what you're interested in. Is it business? Is it philanthropy? Is it just giving back? Social work? It all depends. So I think once you're able to let us know what it is you're interested in, we certainly will be able to guide you. There's also the diaspora desk at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, so you can make contact with them directly as well. I do not have the contact details and the phone numbers off the top of my head, but that is something we can have the team at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the diaspora desk circulate more widely. But there is a website for the homecoming, and if you go onto the website, it will allow you to be able to actually register and to get information about the diaspora homecoming and about the diaspora in general, in terms of how you can help.
And that was our final DMs. We have to take another quick break, and when we come back, it will be your DMs from the street. Back in a bit.
You are cordially invited to the Prime Minister's Premium All-Inclusive Cruise aboard the Ecstasy. Now celebrating its second year, this signature experience returns for another unforgettable evening at sea on Saturday, June 20th. Boarding begins at 4 p.m. with departure at 5 p.m. sharp. Come immerse yourself in a classy party atmosphere filled with premium vibes, great music, stylish energy, and unforgettable moments where sophistication and a celebration come together for the ultimate cruise experience. Tickets are now available at gotofed.com and Grenadian Optical. An exclusive celebration awaits you aboard the SSC Saturday, June 20th. It's the Prime Minister's Cruise. We look forward to welcoming you on board.
I'm Randall Dolan, Chairman of the Grenada Tourism Authority, and it's my honor to invite you to the first ever Grenada Diaspora Homecoming 2026, happening June 21st to July 5th. Grenada is known for its spices and its beauty, but our most important and valuable asset is our human resources, our people. Now we're calling all Grenadians from all over the world, wherever you may reside, to come home. Come home to Grenada, come back to the soil. Let's re-engage, reconnect, and ultimately, let's collectively build a pathway to Vision 75. During that 2-week period, we'll be celebrating everything that makes us Grenadian, or true Grenadian identity, from food, culture, music, entertainment, films, and we're calling all artists, all creators, all investors, all of those who are interested in networking to come home for this wonderful time, go back to the communities. We'll be creating a lot of opportunities to also give back. Ultimately, we are building a pathway for a bigger and brighter future. Our socials from Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube are also live, and you can get more information about programming from all of these networks. We look forward to welcoming you to Grenada. We look forward to celebrating homecoming with you this year, and we look forward to celebrating everything Grenadian.
Welcome back again to all our viewers and listeners. It's now time for DMs from the Street with Norris.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another great episode of DMs on the Streets. Great citizens are the bedrock of a thriving nation. Come with me as we get the DMs from the streets from the people that matter.
Good afternoon. My name is Maureen Smith and I live in the UK. I've been in Grenada for 4 weeks to attend an aunt's funeral. I stayed in Douglaston and I made many trips into Guave. There are lots of people that are down and out. So my question to you is, are you thinking of having some sort of a feeding program or some sort of an outreach for those who are strung out on alcohol or drugs? Or what do you plan to do to help these people that simply cannot help themselves? Human dignity, and how are you going to help them? Yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much for the question. Before I answer, I want to take the opportunity to shout out Norris, our host for DMs from the Street. Norris got married on Saturday. Sorry I couldn't make the holy matrimonial ceremony, Norris, but I want to wish you and your bride, now wife, best wishes for a successful marriage. To answer the question, we are currently building a rehabilitation center at Maribo as part of the plans to address drug dependency, alcohol dependency, and other addictions that exist within Grenada. Obviously, when persons are addicted to substances, oftentimes they struggle with having the ability to have the discipline to wean themselves off it, and if the society doesn't provide help, or if there isn't family support, we know it's extremely difficult. Oftentimes it leads to vagrancy and obviously a lot more unpleasant social consequences. So that is one definitive plan that we're working on. Obviously the other critical thing is to actually reduce the risk of people actually becoming hooked on drugs or becoming dependent on substances, and that requires a collective community effort by all of us. The Ministry of Social and Community Development oftentimes plays a leading role in trying to assist with some of those issues. But there are also the regulatory issues that I think we need to address. The prevalence of alcohol is widespread. The challenges with making sure that people don't see drugs as a solution to any of the challenges they face is also something that we have to treat with. So the fact that she's mentioned Guave, I think we know that oftentimes in urban areas there's a greater risk of drug addiction or alcohol addiction, and it's showing up on the streets in terms of persons being vagrants or being homeless. So that's one of the broader issues that plagues the society. So the rehabilitation center is just one of the many tools that we are looking at to ensure that we can provide some assistance in that manner.
Okay. Do we have another DM?
Hello, my name is Cashel Sylvester. I'm a British Grenadian third generation from London. But Andrew Honest, I would like to ask you, I'm appealing for your help, for us third generation Grenadians. Is there any way that you can help us to connect more with the culture? Like when we come here, we are just tourists and we want to connect. There's no way that we can get a passport at the moment, but if there's some sort of ID card or something that can help us to prove our roots in this country, so we're not just coming as a foreigner, because we are not Lebanese, we are not like this other one. We are Grenadians. In London, we still rep for Grenada, for 473, so we want to show that. So thank you.
Right, well, thank you very much for continuing to rep for 473 in London. We certainly appreciate it. We are working on a policy document that would allow us to go to Parliament to amend the law to allow persons other than first-generation Grenadians to acquire citizenship if their parents were first-generation or second-generation Grenadians. The right to citizenship is determined largely by the Constitution. The Constitution is not something that we can change easily. We do have a Citizenship Act that we can change, and we are working to get the right policy to be able to address this specific concern that has been raised by members of the diaspora, not just in London or the United Kingdom, but also in Canada and the United States, where we have large diaspora groups. And we think, obviously, from a connection point of view, obviously, if you have citizenship or the right to it, it certainly gives you the ability to feel more connected and, as you say, not feel as a visitor or tourist. Secondly, I think learning the culture is critical. So we appreciate that if you visit Grenada and you are engaging in all things Grenadian, that is an opportunity for you when you go back to the United Kingdom to continue practicing that and to continue sharing where you come from, sharing your roots with second, third, or fourth generation Grenadians. And that's why we have embassies, that's why we have consular offices and so on, so that we can engage with Grenadians in the diaspora. We can address their concerns, we can tell them about what's taking place. The internet, social media also helps. Obviously, you can pay attention to every and anything that's going on in Grenada. You can contribute, as you've just done, to this program as well. So we certainly believe use of social media, use of modern telecommunication tools is part of that. And I'm sure you're aware of all of the calendar of events that we take place where Grenada's culture is on show. And many times that is exported to London, exported to Toronto, exported to New York as well. So it's an opportunity for you to partake in those things when our artists or cultural events being exported and are taking place in the diaspora city that you live in. So I hope when that happens, you visit and you come out so that you feel more connected and you can share with your children and grandchildren or wider family or culture.
We have another DM from the street.
My name is Sharon John. I am of Grenadian descent and I live in London. My question for the Prime Minister is, when we are in the diaspora and we are Grenadian by descent, why does it take more than 2 years for us to get our citizenship and our passports? If you want us to come back and contribute to Grenada, that needs to be faster. So can you tell me why it takes that long, please? Thank you.
Well, thank you for the question. I will confess I'm not aware of the length of time it takes. If you've had an experience in which it took 2 years, obviously, I will agree that that is certainly an inordinate delay. But I also have to indicate that citizenship is something that we have to be careful about. We have to be able to validate the documents that people present to us. And the law requires us to do so. In some instances, you may have to do things like security background checks, etc. I noticed you said citizenship by descent. Again, based on the current law, it is only first-generation persons who are entitled automatically to citizenship. So I'm not able to answer or explain why it may have taken 2 years in a particular case, other than to say that song certainly quite long to me. And if that was your experience, then obviously I apologize for you having had that experience. We are also seeking to modernize the process by trying to move a lot of this online. It will take some time before we're able to digitize, in a sense, our civil registry and the document processing system. But if all of your paperwork is in fact in place, it should certainly take a lot less than that period of time to have the documents validated and for the citizenship to be granted, if you are entitled to it.
Okay. We have another DM from the street.
Hi, PM. I just want to say good evening. I want to congratulate you on a job well done for the past 4 years. I also want to congratulate you on that trip you went to Montreal. I noticed you spoke to my sister. PM, big up. For man your caliber, you're doing a real good job. Enjoy.
Thank you, Hillary, for the compliment, and I hope I did convey special greetings to your sister on your behalf.
We have another DM from the street.
Well, welcome to DMs on the Streets. My name is Norris Francois. What's your name?
Hi, Norris. I'm Samantha. Nice to meet you.
All right, nice to meet you. Well, direct your comment to the Prime Minister.
Just a comment I would like to make in terms of construction of the road. I'm liking what I'm seeing, but as Grenadians, we're looking forward to seeing more changes and more progress in terms of the road construction. Thank you.
Thank you. It's Samantha, I think. I'm also looking forward to seeing more progress and more changes, and I think all I can say is stay tuned. I think we have a number of road projects that will starting with the Morris Bishop International Airport Road that will lead all the way into the Sugar Mill Republic Bank roundabout, and then from that area into the Montu Grandlands Valley area, and then from the cliff, which is almost complete, all the way to Westall Point. That entire artery is going to be redone. We also intend to redo the Beaulieu Road. Right now, pipelaying is taking place there as we speak. Once that is completed, we intend to start work from the roundabout or Deco gas station, or Deco gas station as it's called, all the way back up to the entrance to Mount Kuma. We also have to do work on the Old Westall Road all the way back up to St. Paul. So a lot of work will take place. I just want to emphasize to the public, when that is happening, there will be inconvenience, but I would ask you to please bear with us as we go through the process of improving the road networks in Grenada. It's actually for all of our benefit and for all of our safety. So we expect in earnest that work will commence with the Morris Bishop Road this month. They've already started the drain clearing and so on that is necessary to make sure that we have improved water flow and reduce the risk of flooding and so on. So as I said before, the aim is to improve the conditions of the road, ensure we have international markings on the road, ensure the roads are as wide as possible, ensure that the roundabouts and so on are not too large, so that, as you can see, oftentimes the vehicles actually ride the roundabouts, trying to get them a bit smaller so that we can have easy access to it is some of what we are working on. So rest assured, I've been perhaps critical of the Ministry of Infrastructure, which I lead, but I would certainly say that was designed to make sure that we held ourselves to a high standard, and we put the necessary things in place to get us to the point where we could begin to improve the road networks in Grenada, and that is finally beginning to happen. So I also want to go on record to thank the PS and the team at the Ministry of Infrastructure, the CTO, the engineers, the project managers who've spent a lot of work over the last year bringing the ministry to a point where we could begin to implement and to make sure that Grenadians can see a difference in the quality of roadworks, the quality of maintenance, so that going forward you can be proud of the road networks in Grenada.
And we have our final DM from the street.
So my name is Isaac Melanson, founder and, CEO of My Wife's Juice. And my question today is, if there's room to get local juice into the school system. Obviously, we see all of these high sugar, high fructose drinks like the soft drinks and the Minute Maids and all sort of thing, all the processed juices. So is there room for some local juices, some healthy, natural things into the tuck shops, into the school feeding programs, just to give some healthier options for the students and for the faculty? Obviously, we got to look after our adults too. We're the ones that are teaching up the younger generation. So we got to make sure we're well taken care of as well.
I'm smiling because I like the name of My Wife's Juice, and I'm told the juice tastes really nice. So absolutely, there is room for this in the school feeding program. So I would urge you, if you haven't as yet, to contact the Ministry of Education. You can also contact the schools themselves. The Ministry of Education has a feed schooling procurement unit, and certainly I think the mandate from the policy direction in terms of how the Cabinet views this matter is that as much as possible we should minimize the use of sugar, particularly processed sugar in or juices or liquids that our students drink. I think we all know sugar is essentially a poison, especially when consumed in large amounts. So we certainly will encourage fresh juice. We certainly will encourage healthy juice. And therefore, if that's what your product is, I certainly will encourage you to contact the Procurement Unit, Ministry of Education, or go to the schools themselves and convince them to give you an opportunity to share your wife's juice with them.
I absolutely love that name, My Wife's Juice. Folks, that's it for our DMs from the street. But when we come back, of course, it's time for your calls. So stay close. We'll be back in a little bit.
My name is Butran. I'm representing Faris Construction Services as the project manager. The project here entails the erection of the pedestrian bridge. We started just a few weeks ago with the abutment, and now we're fabricating the bridge itself. So what you're seeing behind is the fabrication and erection of the bridge. The scope is to erect the bridge so that the residents can traverse back and forth whilst the main bridge is being constructed. We started with the abutment on the western side and the eastern side. So what we're doing here is the bridge. What would happen, we would fabricate, and as fast as we fabricate, we would push the bridge across to the other side, and then we would align it with the abutment on the other side of the river. What we have here is the rollers. So the bridge is sitting on rollers, and we would roll it across to the next side. Then we would rotate the bridge to get it in proper alignment with the abutments on this side and the abutments on the other side. The process here is a bit tedious because it's something new to the guys. So it's taken a little while to execute. But as they go along, they're understanding what has to be done, and every day they're picking up a little pace in the execution of it. Presently, we have almost 90% of the guys being from the village right here. We thought it was important to get guys from in the community so that they would be part of the process for their development in the community. I think it will be good for the community. They wouldn't have to make the rounds around the other villages to get to Grenville. They would be able to just walk the bridge and get to the other side, where it would be easy to get a bus up by the Marybow Gap on the other side.
Welcome back once again, all our viewers and listeners to DMs with PM. And of course, this is where you have the opportunity to call and ask your questions directly. 423-3104, that's the number, 423-3104. All we ask is that you keep your questions as brief as possible so that we can accommodate more calls, all right? So 423-3104, I believe we have our first caller online. Caller, good evening and welcome to the program.
Hello, good evening.
Go right ahead.
My question is pertaining to the public transportation system. My concern is why is it that you have bus transportation supplying a route and you're not following the order of that route? You'll stop off at different locations. Is there some policy in regards to that?
I thank you for the question. I'm not sure I'm following the question though. The routes are issued to a bus driver, and the bus driver can only apply that particular route. If the question is, for instance, if the route is Grandans to, say, the bus terminus, I don't know if the question is saying that halfway before you get to the end of Grandans, if the driver terminates the route and goes back. I'm not so sure if that is what he's speaking of. I don't think the regulations get to the granular point where it says when you leave the bus terminus, you must go to the end point of the route and come back. We don't have that kind of regulations in place just yet. What the regulation allows is for you to apply that particular route. I should also emphasize that the buses are, we call it public transportation in the sense that the public uses it, but all of the buses are privately owned. They're not owned by the state, and to that extent, they are providing a service, and as purely businessmen, oftentimes they will take decisions that in their view is in their best interest in terms of how they think they can maximize their revenue as to whether or not they go the entire route or whether they go half of the route and come back.
Okay. We have another caller online. Caller, good evening and welcome to the program. Go right ahead.
Hi, good evening. Are you hearing me properly?
Yes, we are.
I just want to take the time to thank the Prime Minister. Well, good afternoon. Good evening, sorry.
Good evening.
You and the Prime Minister. I just want to take the time, PM, to thank you for visiting Montreal for the first time. It was everybody in Montreal very happy seeing you. It was a very nice week, and everybody looking forward to see you again. I hope you don't wait for 4 years, and if you come back and visit us and have a longer time and a better time. So on behalf of myself and the Montrealers, we say thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that. As I said at the start of the show, we certainly enjoyed the visit. And all things being equal, I should not wait for 4 more years to visit Montreal. As I said, definitely a good show was put on. I was certainly impressed with the cultural performances because it said to us that the citizens have kept the culture going. I don't know if you remember Doggies, everybody jumping up in the August rain. Doggies was there. Doggies did a performance as well. So it just shows an example of the sort of talent that still exists in the diaspora. So big up to Doggies.
You remember that song?
Yeah, man.
We have another caller online. Caller, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. How are you, PM and the host? I hope you're doing well. Fine.
Well, thank you.
My name is Jackson, and the last time you called me clairvoyant. I want to bring your attention to the Nawassa situation where you and the people of Grenada need to be treated better with Nawassa. When the water goes away, the air makes the meter speed up. I think you'd like to. Can you talk to them about, and we getting our own personal meter, because it seems like we're renting the meter until we die? I don't think that makes sense. But could you look into that, please, where I get a discount for when the when there's no water. When it's dirty, we understand it's a challenge, but shouldn't you think we get a discount for the time there's no water and the air steals up the meter? Please look into that. Have a blessed day. And you are doing a great job.
Thank you,
All right.
Jackson.
Thank you, Jackson. Certainly, this is something we can look at, and I think obviously improving the technology, the meter technology, is also something that could be looked at. I think from time to time, certainly the public has raised concerns about the quality of water, the impact of the accuracy of the meters. So those are things that certainly will be monitored. One important development is that the Water Authority, NWASA, is now regulated by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, the PURC. So you do have an independent state-owned body that will in future be monitoring and regulating NWASA. We also should be in the process of setting up a water management resource unit as well, all of which are designed to help address issues such as service and quality of water. So it's in its very early stage, but we certainly expect that as we progress over the next several months and the remainder of the year, you'd hear more from the PURC and you'd hear more from NWASA and the ministry as to how this will work and how we're able to ensure that we can do things like improve the quality of water. As time goes on, certainly changes will have to be made. I guess I've never heard someone raise the issue of, as it stands, yes, NWASA provides the meter and there's probably a fee for renting the meter. But maybe it may be a good opportunity to look at whether the client buys the meter so that it's owned and the fee is paid one-off and you don't have to keep renting it. So those are some of the things that I think from a discussion point of view, we can look forward to discussing with NWASA and the PURC as we go forward, as we try to improve the quality and the quantity of water that's available to the citizens.
We have another caller online. Caller, good evening. Welcome to the program. Go right ahead.
Thank you for, hello, good evening. Thank you for the Windsor Forest Road. I really appreciate it. And can you please put a playground in Good Hope?
All right. So thank you very much for, the caller didn't say their name, but it sounds like a young caller. So I'm happy that you appreciate the Vincent's Windsor Forest Road. I appreciate it as well because it's a road that has not had any significant improvement in over 50 years, I think. And certainly in terms of a playground in Good Hope, it is something we certainly can do. I will speak to Minister Telesford, MP Telesford, who is responsible for the area, to see whether one is earmarked for Good Hope. And these are some of the things we are trying to do in all of our communities, and we're quite happy to make sure that children in particular have access to a playground. So I will certainly take that back.
Okay. Good evening, caller. Welcome. Go right ahead.
Hello, good night. Yes, I'm just calling in regards to PM. Is there any plans in the near future for you to have a second port in the country? Therefore, I noticed that there is a situation on the port where we have most times of overcapacity, especially when we have all these vehicles coming in, all the containers coming in, a lot of delays over the period. So I know, like in places like St. Lucia, you have the Castries and you have there's another port in the southern part of the island. So I don't know if that is something that, as we become a developing nation, there's plans for the near future. I know Renault has discussed something in regards to that for his production purposes, but I just want to know if there's ideas for that for, additional containers and whatnot.
Okay. Right.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Yes, we are currently reviewing the entire port operations. There are periods of congestion. The Port Authority itself is reviewing whether what we need is a second port or whether we need to reconfigure the existing port, and if we have to do so, whether that would potentially involve having to acquire additional lands immediately adjacent to where the port is itself. But I think the first point is the reorganization of the port itself. That is something that I think can be achieved to make the port more efficient. Building a new port obviously is a very capital-intensive endeavor, and you have to find an appropriate location. There aren't many. Bouches-du has been talked about. We have received what I would say unsolicited expressions of interest from persons as recently as 2 weeks ago who have expressed a potential interest in seeing whether they can assist with the construction of a new port, whether it's a public or a private port. Those are things we'll examine. The truth is the port itself is about 50 to 60 years old, and there's no question that given that it was built mostly for what they call brick bulk cargo, it was not built as a containerized port. The use of containers is a more recent and modern phenomena that has grown exponentially. So all of that has to be taken into consideration, and so those things are being considered, I think, with a view of when the time comes making the right decision. Obviously, there'll have to be consultations with the public, with the Port Authority, with importers and traders, etc., to see what would be the best fit for Grenada. But we have to bear in mind that building a port is very expensive, and if we do a new one, we'd obviously have to be able to build a port that could, in a sense, serve the country for the next 50 years. And so we'd have to do one that would facilitate the potential growth in trade over that period to ensure we don't end up in a situation where 10 years after we build it, we run out of space again, and then you have further problem. So that requires a lot of feasibility studies, both in terms of the economics, the cost, and the particular location. As I said, the location that's sort of been tentatively earmarked, I think by most of the experts, is likely to be Bushaju.
Okay. Good evening, caller. Welcome to the program. Go right ahead.
Good evening. You're hearing me clearly?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Okay, so my question is, you purchase a piece of land from someone in Grenada, or you go through a lawyer or so forth, and you're told they're waiting on physical planning, right? It's been months, going to like a year plus. What I want to find out is, what is the process with physical planning that you have to wait that long in order to, get the right of way as to purchasing the land and what have you? Because a lot of people are being told that physical planning is the one that you have to wait on, but I think the process is very slow and you're not getting any answer at all. So I would really like to know, what is the process with physical planning and purchasing land and stuff in Grenada? Thank you.
All right, thank you for the question. I'm a little surprised. I know normally physical planning will be involved in planning permission to actually develop or build the land. From the point of view of the mere sale of the land, unless the land has been subdivided, so if someone bought, let's say, a large lot like an acre and then they are cutting up into lots, then you may require a physical planning permission. But outside of that, I don't know that physical planning permission is required at all to buy or sell land. So so in that sense, I'm not sure if you're saying you're actually buying land and you're being told that physical planning has to approve it. The only thing they would be required to approve is if there's a subdivision of the land. And if there's a subdivision, that should be a pretty straightforward process. The survey plan has to be done. And if there's a subdivision, obviously access roads so that you can access the particular lot should be shown on the survey plan. I would therefore think once that is done, an application is filed with physical planning and it should be a quick turnaround. If you're saying it's taking more than a year, then I will certainly bring the matter to the attention of the board so that they can have that addressed. And I wouldn't think that the process for subdivision should be as involved as the process to actually build a house, because you have to, obviously the plans are a lot more involved in building a house or building a property or any kind of actual built development. So I will certainly flag this issue with the Board of Planning Authority to make sure that if it's subdivisions, that there's a quicker turnaround, and a year certainly seems a very long time for something like that.
Thank you so much, caller. And we have our final one. Good evening, caller.
Hi, good evening, Prime Minister, and good evening, everyone. This is Kadala. Prime Minister Mitchell, I just want to ask a question, and it's not so much for my edification. I'm going to tease your brain a little bit. And it has to do with some of the postings I have seen on social media. So from a strategic objective, and also looking at the long-term plan for our trial and state of Grenada, could you please edify your listening audience of some of the key stakeholder benefits that are derived from your travels and maybe I can help your train of thought. We can look here at probably the education sector, our health sector, our transportation sector, because I think it's important that our people are well edified on these subject areas rather than throwing so many fields out there and people are being misled. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Cadella, for the question. And I want to emphasize, because perhaps people think it's glamorous. It's not. Traveling isn't glamorous. It's extremely tiring, and it takes a significant toll on you. And if Grenada was a large country with enormous resources, maybe you could simply say we have enough resources, we have enough people, and we have an education system that is robust enough that would allow us to develop our own countries without the assistance of the rest of the world. And anyone who's elected its leader would not have to travel. But the truth is, it's quite the opposite. We're small. We have little or no natural resources of any significant kind, except the sun, the sea, the wind, a small piece of land, and a big ocean space. So when it comes to things like healthcare, I'll give an example. We have to build the new hospital. In order to build a new hospital, we have to get funding for it because we simply don't have the money in Grenada. In order to get the funding for it, we have to go to countries that have the capacity to fund the development of the hospital. And there aren't many countries in the world who've done this. So for example, some of the funders who've agreed to fund the hospital would be the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is halfway around the world. I would have visited Saudi Arabia as part of a CARICOM Saudi summit. It's a 16-hour trip. So you have to understand the sort of toll that takes on you. And when we landed, we went straight to work. Part of that engagement was, in fact, to convince the government and people of Saudi Arabia to allow us to, in fact, use this $100 million to fund the development of the hospital. In the long and short of it, we've been successful in getting them to agree to do so. That's an example of why we have to travel if we are going to be able to get that done. I recently visited Canada and we met with the Prime Minister of Canada. As you are aware, under a government that was led by my predecessor with the same name, our visa-free access to Canada was revoked. And up to today, Grenadians still have to get a visa to go to Canada. Part of the reason for my travel was to urge the new Prime Minister and his team to at least allow Grenadians to travel to Canada under the electronic travel authorization system, which is where the world is going. A review is taking place currently, and so we will do everything in our power to make sure that we are part of the review so that we can convince the government and people of Canada that Grenadians who travel to Canada are good citizens, are upright citizens who will comply with Canadian law, who will not overstay their time. And for those who've migrated legally under the Canadian migration system, as we had countless examples in Ontario and Montreal on our recent visit, that they will be an added asset to the Canadian society and will contribute to the growth and development of Canada and the bilateral relations with Canada. Therefore, part of it means you have to go in person and do the negotiating and do the requesting, and if it comes to that, do the begging. We did not have a High Commission in Ottawa. Ottawa is the political seat or the political capital of Canada. When I got into office and the Canadian government had reviewed the visa restrictions, I was advised by the then Canadian High Commissioner based in Barbados that there was no representative for and on behalf of Grenada in Ottawa. In other words, there was no one to advocate for Grenada in the political capital of Ottawa. And that's why we established a High Commission. That is why we are thankful that His Excellency Sylvester Collis is now the High Commissioner and is able to begin the advocating on behalf of Grenada so that we can improve the bilateral relations. And hopefully, the goal is to convince our brothers and sisters in Canada and the government of Canada that Grenada is a good bilateral partner, and hopefully we can get to the point where we are on the electronic travel authorization. There are many of you who I know don't want to incur the expense and the inconvenience of having to travel to Trinidad to do the biometrics, to pay a flight to go to Trinidad, to book a hotel just to be able to interview, to go and visit your aunt or your grandaunt for a week or 2 weeks in Canada. That is part of the reason why we travel. So I just give these two examples. I'll give a third one since Canada was the last visit. We have signed a consultation agreement with 3 Canadian universities, Niagara, Nova Scotia, and Dalhousie, to help us revamp our technical vocational education system in Grenada. We need the expertise, we need the support if we are going to be able to re-engineer the education system, which is largely academic right now. They've already been doing significant work. They visit Grenada, our team visits them, because you have to be able to see what is actually taking place in other countries, what are the examples that you can learn from to allow us to be able to implement those changes. We have a very ambitious target for revamping the Maribo Agricultural School. We expect that by October, we should be in a position to start a revitalization of that college. We are hoping that we can take 60 students, 15 each from 4 of the secondary schools in St. Andrew, and bring them into Maribo so that they start learning hands-on, practical, competency-based agricultural techniques. We are starting in St. Andrew for obvious reason. It is traditionally the breadbasket of St. Andrew. Maribo exists, it is in St. Andrew. We are hoping to have students between 14 and 16 years do 1 day a week at the college, and then 16 to 18, 5 days a week, learning agriculture, learning techniques, etc., etc. That would allow us to start addressing the significant shortage of scientists business people, entrepreneurs in agriculture, so that we could have things like food sustainability, etc. going forward. You cannot do that if you don't have the right partnership with the right people from different countries, and you can only do so by forging that relationship yourself. We need to understand Grenada is a dot on the globe. You may not even be able to see it from space. So it is quite easy for larger countries to completely ignore you. You have no scale, you have nothing of interest to them from a scale competence point of view, even from an investment. So if you don't have leadership that is prepared to go and convince them otherwise, and make them come and bet on you, partner with you, or invest in your country, you will get forgotten. And that is why we undertake the long and difficult journeys that we do in such short and sometimes intense periods that is quite tiring and exhausting at times, simply to ensure that we can continue the development of Grenada and we can get the right investment, the right partners to be able to allow us to continue developing the country, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in education, whether it's in infrastructure, whether it's in the creative arts, and all of the other sectors that we are currently undertaking. So Kadela, I hope I edified the listeners as you asked me to. Thank you.
I think you did. Well, this is where we've come to the end of the program, but before we go, maybe you can quickly end on the Diaspora Homecoming and, of course, press briefing.
Yes, so tomorrow at 10 a.m. we will have a press briefing from the Ministry of Infrastructure conference room. We expect to have officials from the Ministry of Education to address the issues surrounding those teachers who have been impacted by either non-payment, late payment, or inaccurate payments, so we can have an update and a response on that. We also expect to have officials from the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands, as well as the Ministry of Health to address this issue surrounding these horses which were illegally, wrongfully imported without any permits into the country and which were diseased and had to be put down, so that the public hears the facts, not the sensations. And I want to emphasize this. The importation of animals into Grenada without a permit is a criminal offense. And worse yet, the importation of animals that are diseased into the country puts the entire country at risk. And I'm unapologetic about the actions taken by the officials of the ministry. The only thing I'm a little disappointed in is that they did not themselves respond and explain to the public why they did what they had to do in the interest of protecting the public. So I want us to understand the spread of disease through animal can happen quite easily and can have damning repercussions for the country. We can't export fruits even today because of pests which were imported into the country many years ago. So we need to understand this is not some joking social media bacchanal. We need to protect the interests of the country. So I expect the 4 officials from the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands, Health, etc. will speak to the public decisively on this issue. And third, I did not intend to attend the press conference tomorrow, but I will do so because as the Minister for Transport, it's important for us to address the clamor by the Bus Association surrounding their request for an increase in the fare, which obviously is a matter of national concern because it will impact all of us. So we'll provide more details at the press conference tomorrow. So 10 o'clock, infrastructure, we certainly will ask the public to stay tuned and to partake in the press conference. I'd like to invite the media workers, obviously, to come and attend the conference as well. And the Diaspora Homecoming, I think we had a lot of diaspora engagement on this show this evening. Remember, it starts on the 21st of June. It will run for about 2 weeks with a church service at the Gateway Assembly in Point Saline. So we look forward to the diaspora events. The schedule, it's quite extensive, so obviously that has been shared with the public. And importantly, we want the Grenadians who are not members of the diaspora, Grenadians, the citizens here, to partake in the events to make it a success. Thank you.
Whew, we should have had the press conference immediately after this. The last couple minutes of explaining what the press conference was about, and everybody had attention listening to you right now. But thank you so very much, Mr. Prime Minister. And as always, thank you so much for your time. And again, tomorrow at 10 a.m., the press conference, please join the PM and the other guests who will be there. To all our listeners and viewers, thank you so much once again. Power FM, Star FM, We FM, GBN, Fusion FM, Vibes FM, and GIS, and not forgetting our viewers on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you so very much for tuning in for this week's episode. Catch us again next Tuesday, same time, same place. Until then, have yourselves a great Tuesday and be safe, everyone.